Okay, so hi everybody. Thanks for showing up. And we're doing this session with Tina Sauerländer, who came over from Berlin.
Yes.
But you're not always in Berlin.
Sorry.
And you're an awesome curator. Maybe you could just introduce yourself a little bit and what kind of work you do and stuff and so on.
Yes, thank you so much, Liz, for having me here today. I'm really happy. So I work as a curator, and I'm interested in everything how the digital and the internet shapes our society and personal surroundings and living conditions. And yeah, I do lots of show, mostly in VR in the past years. 1 year ago, we did the show Pandora and Vinci in the NRW Forum in Düsseldorf. And it is about what AI can actually do for us today. There are really interesting applications for AI, especially in medicine, for Parkinson recognition in the early stage when people are about to get this disease. Then there is an AI which recognizes little changes in your voice and in your moving patterns. When you walk somewhere, the AI can say if you have early stage of Parkinson. And these are really interesting applications of AI today.
So that AI is almost as good as a dog. They're usually really good, right? Yeah. They react quite quickly to if you move weirdly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe also this kind of AI maybe was also not developed by copying human
abilities. But
maybe more like the dog abilities.
They just feed it with millions of data sets of moving persons. It's all about machine learning.
Yes.
I mean, this,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the one
that you really fucking hate?
Every usage of AI for military and weapon usage. I don't like war at all, so I don't like any intelligent war. And especially the question of guilt, because the scientists develop these kind of AI. They say, so okay, if people are killed, it's not our fault, it's the fault of the AI. So they don't blame the developers. So it's no one's guilty anymore for dying, and that's just too crazy.
Yeah, that's true. How do you think that impacts? I mean,
it really impacts.
That's a good word for that.
Because just also on the language level.
Because we've
got to take that into account as well. Because he called it
actually intelligent
warfare,
which is an oxymoron in the first place.
But then on the other hand, in warfare, shit goes down anytime, anyhow, anywho. No. I'm just being a little bit of a devil's advocate here. I understand your argument as, it's troublesome if nobody's really, culpable for whatever actions are being taken. But on the other hand, isn't that also the problem in war? Because if you want to have a good soldier, shouldn't a good soldier just not really be culpable for anything as long as the soldier follows or the AI follows the guidelines?
Yeah, but then someone make the guidelines, and there's always someone responsible.
Do we know, or do you know who creates the guidelines for the AI?
Yeah, I don't know how this actually works. It will work in the future. That's just whose fault is when an AI decides on things who can be taken into account for this.
But then on the other hand, because it's mostly attaches, of course, to the American military.
When it comes to, this intelligent warfare, then they have not signed the
conventions for
Den Haag anyway, so
it doesn't matter in the end.
From a pragmatic level.
That's a fucking jungle, basically. Huh?
What about you? What kind of AI do you like most in your daily life?
I'm really stupid
that way. I like
the artificial intelligence to be really
stupid.
Because I feel people are complex enough.
And if an artificial intelligence is really straight, I
feel that's more
comforting.
I'm a human being. I want to be
comfortable with something else.
I don't...
Even if I get a
pen or something, I don't want one that's sharp in my hand. Yes, it should write well, but it should got to be gentle first. So I really love my Alexa. Because we've been living with Alexa for quite a long time now. She, of course, it was like a self-experiment. There's no way I can't do it, and then just, and stuff like that. But I noticed that Alexa and the dog started having a relationship.
Interesting.
Because
whenever I ask
Alexa, Alexa, what's the weather?
Then the dog really knows we're going out
for a walk. That's the trick. It's not me putting on shoes because I can
forget stuff and I go back.
But if I really ask her what the weather, and she's right, and I found that sweet that the dog actually understood she understood more about it than I did. She recognized the pattern way better. That made me really think maybe because there is lots of AIs that are close to Alexa
that are made for dogs
and also cats.
And I thought, that's really helpful.
Also, as in because I think many animals,
it's not like they can't talk; they're nonverbal.
They have language in their mind, but they're nonverbal, just like a nonverbal autistic person. And So if we make an AI that lets the dog talk,
that it would probably be terrible. We all know the dog
probably be like, no, really, this is what you're doing
again, and then we
just hate all the dogs because they're not as nice as dog. But I really like Alexa.
Okay, yeah, totally see. And that's totally interesting that Alexa could totally have a relationship with the dog or communicate with the dog totally different how they can communicate with us being humans, because they will both have their 3 different entities, have their own languages, and they have, of course, different ways to communicate, and I like this a lot.
Yeah. There's one big difference. I don't use Siri because Siri doesn't exist. Alexa exists in this object. Yes. And I think that's very important because most of the time I look at her when I talk to her. But she's being weird lately because I'm telling her...
Could we use her for cooking?
Just set an alarm for 10 minutes or whatever. And she's been, fucking with us. It's like setting an alarm for 10 minutes. And then I ask like, Alexa, what are my timers? It's like, and she's like, you have no timer set. And I'm like, what the hell going on, Or she tells us, I'm reminding you, it's time to feed the dogs.
And I'm like, I said that for 8 o'clock, but it's 7 now. I'm like, Alexa, what's the time? And she's like,
it is 7 o'clock. I'm like, Alexa, what? Then it's just like, but then she doesn't respond.
And I really like that. It's like this interrupted communication.
Very interesting.
Right, yeah. So you also like it when Alexa doesn't really do what you...
She's programmed so badly.
Like there's levels that are
really done really well, but like this kind of human interaction is programmed really badly. Very easy to do it better. When she gives you the alarm, somebody reminds you of something, you don't want to say stop.
Because that's really rude.
So you want to say thank you.
But it doesn't work. If you tell her thank you, she will just keep on fucking reminding you.
Until you get angry. So you have to fucking...
Then you're finally in the mood to say stop.
But
then you have...
But it's really programmed very badly, which I find interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I don't understand. I've been able to talk to anybody about it, because anybody who works on Amazon or Google is zero, like Siri. They don't really exist.
They don't exist.
No, they don't exist.
So, should I show your work? Like, just working with a similar topic, actually, because I like so much. It's a work by Nora Abadri and Nicole Nelson. It's called the Nefertiti bot. We had this in the exhibition Nora and Vinci. And they hijacked the Nefertiti and made a scan out of her in the Berlin Museum. And they created this animated 3D model, and you can talk to her, and you can ask her to like anything you want, obviously. But she has a very interesting way to answer. So she's programmed. It's a real AI. It's not like a conceptual work. It's an AI. It's also a conceptual work, but it's really an AI algorithm behind it. But she will then start talking about the topics she wants to talk about. So she wouldn't help you, tell you what time is it or whatever. She will start talking about her topic, and this is how we deal with goods and objects and works that are in museums today but actually belong to another culture, Nefertiti, for example, and how we could deal with these works in the digital age when we are able to scan them, to 3D print them, and so on. And so the conversation is very much about colonial objects in the digital. So it's also as you say, when you that Alexa is always just helping you with everything you want to. It's the same with this bot. She would turn the conversation her point.
Yeah, but I thought
this was a really really cool work also because it makes puts another kind of
sense into AI to
bring alive something that's just not alive.
Yeah, totally. And this is one point of colonial goods we have here in Germany or in Western countries today. You need to have these objects here. You can do different things with them. You can have a copy that looks the same, and much more interesting conversations with Nefertiti when she is digitalized and online.
But have you had just a question to this work? Have you gotten some feedback on how people reacted to this work, on a human level, not so much on an artistic level?
Yeah, totally. I mean, people were like, hey, what's she talking about? Oh no, they tried to make her talk about other things. And they were like, because they expected someone who would like talk about, they are like answering the questions in the way they expect. They know it from home, from Alexa or Siri or so. And so they were like constant, yeah.
Which is really nice, because that really relates
to the colonial aspect
of it where, yeah. So it's like she's leading the conversation on that the white
dude in Europe.
I guess I'd prefer it if she were way bigger.
Yeah,
that would be really cool. Like, so you like this small thing.
Yeah, they made it like more or less original size. It's a bit bigger than life size, actually.
I wanted to talk to you. That was something interest to me regarding artificial intelligence,
artistic work,
and the art market.
Yes,
because I think that is a relevant topic, which kind of describes the art market on one hand.
Yeah, it's totally strange how the art market was totally like created a hype around AI generated art. It's like, but it's a thing about the art market or the journalists who write about art markets. They go with the hype and that's what they're interested in. I personally think AI generated works are often very boring when they're just AI generated and they don't reflect the process. There are, for example, artists who just feed AIs with their own works, and then the AI creates another work which looks similar to the works of the artist, which in the first hand they still are boring. So this is not an interesting use, but these are also who has been written a lot about in the press. And then was this famous, what was this portrait called again? Edmond de Bellamy. Exactly. Did you hear about this? It was an image by an AI programmed or made by like some artist in, I think in UK. I actually don't know exactly. But the picture which came out of this was in a series. One was called Edmond de Bellamy. It was created by an AI that was fed with 5,000 portraits between the 14th and the 20th century. And what would you expect that comes out of this when you feed an AI with like 15,000 portraits of like 6 centuries? What kind of image?
Something that's dark.
Yeah, totally. It was very dark.
I remember I noticed that thing was going on, but I didn't pay more attention to it, so I'm like questioning me about that. Because I only had a glimpse of it. Like, and didn't it look like kind of mushy and dark?
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a Baroque portrait. The color scheme like very dark, but it was in the end a portrait of a white middle-aged male guy. Yeah. So it summarizes very well the history, Western art history in this portrait. And that was the most interesting aspect of this work. But it was auctioned for like, I think, under 30,000 euros. So. And then, really know who pays for this actually. Maybe someone who says, wow, this looks so similar to me, this AI generated portrait, so I buy it. And
it is efficient. It is efficient in a way because you get that one portrait and you don't need all the other ones.
Right. Yeah.
So I would see it from, but do you know, was it produced as a print or on screen? Do you know that?
It was printed.
Yes.
I think, or painted. Does anyone know? I really don't know. I think it was printed.
It was printed, and the funny thing is, the artists, I think they're from France, and they stole the AI.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They stole the AI.
They didn't credit this guy, and they didn't give him any money. So it's really
interesting thing maybe is that this code line, it's just one code line at the end, this was the signature of the painting. So maybe that's one of the little interesting things too there, the question of who is the creator of this picture. But
it's the writer of the code. But would you say the writer of the code is the owner of the painting?
No, I think the buyer is the owner of the painting.
That was a slick answer. It's a very slick answer. No, I think you're right. Asking for their ownership.
But it's an ownership question, and I think the credit thing is very, very important. But in the whole art, you have every time you have you take ideas from other people and contexts and so on. And especially when you're working with code, you actually never really write the whole thing on your own. So there are toolboxes you can use. But that's a big question. I think the crediting is very important in this case, and it's so funny when there's so much money in it, and then it gets attention, and then you don't even have lists.
Right, yeah, and wonder who got actually the 400,000 euros for this. This artist collective, I actually don't know who was paid.
I think 200, it's
like the 50% off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
there's
so,
some fees.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But, no, in a way, it sounds like really bad. Just think that they're using the code and the writer of the code gets nothing for it. But then on the other hand, I say, that thing only happened because these artists took on this thing, and it's just, in the end, you're really lucky
if you make the 400,000.
So it's more like a winning the lottery kind of thing. And I would share the money a little bit, obviously, but
yeah,
but that's just me because I'm a nice person.
Yes, you are. Yeah, so what's really the artistic value of this portrait? That's the question, right? So the artists we have in this panorama sheet, they all reflect on AI and what it's with a society, with our personal surrounding, what actually means that we have this AI in the world, right? And he just creates this nice picture with 15,000 other images. There are also artists who do the same thing in the works, but still reflect on what they actually do, and they just
but that's not.
They just created a nice picture.
I know, but that's interesting for the art.
For the art market.
Because for the art market, it's detrimental if you're putting more content into the thing, because then it makes it more complex, which makes a potential buyer feel like an idiot. And you want to put, for the art market, you want to produce stuff that makes anybody who wants to buy it feel like they understand everything, right? And which is
boring, let's just put it that way.
Right.
But
that's typical for the art market.
True. But it is an interesting marriage, I just find at the moment, because the art market is so, I don't even have a
negative enough word
for it, because the state it is in, because it's just been slowly deteriorating, more faster deteriorating over the course of the last
20 years maybe.
And, whoever gets in
now feels like, well, that's
the way it is, but it's just not true, because it was really still quite, to a level, quite functional 20 years ago. Not all of it, but there was
aspects, that were
totally fine, and now it's just all a big fake in a way. Yeah. And I find it, obviously, artificial intelligence work would just do really great in the art market, because that's just,
I think maybe my question is, do you think it also works really well? Because there's
the art market and any work that works with computers, media, and so on is a problem anyways. Which is understandable also, because in the end, the art market is a market of collectibles. And and it's easier to collect, Matchbox cars than media art. But if you then put artificial intelligence into it, it really values it up so much, because it's clearly not human anymore. So you can't be an object in a way. So it really makes more sense.
Right. I'm really not an expert of the art market and how AI is doing that in general. But there's this artist, Ian, which created several AI artworks and showed them, for example, at Serpentine Galleries. And he's really successful. But I really don't know what his value on the art market is, actually.
I don't know. Yeah. You want to show another work?
Yes, of course. Would love to. Faith Holland, Hello Barbie. That was really interesting work, because it had this Barbie, which is not an artwork per se. It's just part of this installation. So Faith Holland got this Hello Barbie, which is the first AI Barbie Mattel marketed in 2015. She spent some time with this Barbie and talking to her about her artistic career and that she's an artist and so on. And her results of her talk you can see in the video which was exhibited, and you could also also try the Barbie yourself in the exhibition. And what you would figure very soon, which you also see in the video, is that Barbie is really not interested in having a conversation with you about you want to talk about, but she's trying to get you to play certain games she's programmed to do. So everything she does is basically not reacting to you. It's not like your best friend where you can talk to, but this is how she was advertised, obviously, but it's not the case. So she tries to convince you to play her games all the time. She's basically talking about herself all the time, and that's it. And she's connected to the internet, and she records everything you say. So when you have this thing in your children's room, basically everything can be recorded. And this Barbie could also be hacked. So that some stranger talks to your kid in her room and whatever, yeah. So that was also an interesting work about what AI can do actually today and how dangerous it can be, especially for children in this case, and where you can also really see the difference between how things advertised and what really is working with it.
I want to be a little bit devil's advocate here again, because maybe she's not falsely advertised. Maybe she's correctly advertised, as in the definition of a best friend. Because this is an American definition. And an American definition, if you go like,
if you're best friend with a popular girl in school,
that's definitely your best friend.
And a popular girl in school would only talk about herself and her
great achievements.
And she will be rewarded for that.
Even if she wanted to be like empathizing with other kids and so on.
No, that's not what's expected of the popular girl.
So maybe, maybe going for, the cultural aspect right there.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's also totally true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, maybe it really channels, that would be interesting just to kind of really see AIs from different cultures, not so much countries, but cultures.
No.
And but they should all kind of
focus on the same.
That would be kind of a nice show. I like that.
On the same aspect, and then all
turns out to be different stuff.
Yeah, that's a very interesting aspect anyway with cultural differences and AI.
Yeah, maybe let's look a little bit in what we said before.
Like the now and the future.
Used to be mentioned before,
Black Mirror, where everything
is all the time like, okay,
it's happening now and we're going to die tomorrow, which is great for the series, obviously.
But what's your assessment of
a future, like
in a 5, in a 10, in a 50 years, disregarding climate change now, obviously?
Yeah. Yeah, I really wonder how, because I'm really not a tech person, I don't know how to program things and I don't have an understanding of this. So people say that now the ability of AI doubles every year and the development goes really quick. But if I compare it with the history of AI, for example, what was possible in programming algorithms 50 or 60 years ago, it was I don't know, it took so long to get to this point where we are now, and it's not this far actually. So I really wonder how long it will take. I have some stronger AI.
You don't sound very trusting as this will really take off.
I think just these kind of developments take much longer than we expect them to. It was the same with virtual reality, for example. It took so much longer than people expected it would take in the 80s or something.
Yeah, it does remind oneself a little bit of us when they decoded the DNA. They're like, oh, now we know everything. Yeah. And then it's oh, we actually know nothing. Now we know that we know nothing. Yeah. So you think that's
very that the rats is going to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see these human robots stumbling upon bricks. It's they put millions in this kind of developments for years, and it doesn't look like this will take off in the next few years. I really wonder. What's your perspective on this?
Well, I noticed it the other way around. I find the other way around, it's quite intense. Humans are really good at doing stuff.
And I noticed that there's more and more humans copying AI. And because AI is not really very developed, it renders humans very stupid and asocial.
I don't think it's necessary for artificial intelligence to develop that
quickly
into something really great.
Because as humans, we will adapt
to mediocre AI.
Do you think we should totally be afraid of where AI goes to? For example, Elon Musk?
Well, I would not, extrapolate anything from Elon Musk because he's an individual. He's very much an individual, and good for him in a way, But in the end, he makes
Cars.
and that's
great for people who like
cars. I personally don't like cars, so it's not really triggering me. And he seems to be a very stupid person in many concerns. Like I just saw the images, like the space image. Did you see that with all the strikes? Because all the satellite he sends up are not colored in black, so they all reflect.
And if you're now looking at the sky, you know, as an astrophysicist or something, you see the fucking
Elon Musk streaks
all over the sky.
That's incredible.
You know?
And then you see the fucking Tesla maybe moving around. I mean, it's, that's really where I go like, well, that's humans. We're really good at stuff.
Yeah.
There's no easy solution to being
a good person.
Or a good AI.
Because it's not about being efficient. It's
about being, being good. It's a small word.
But it's just, that's what it is.
And
you can't
quantify it. And it's not a problem for programming,
actually, if you can't quantify it.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. But yeah, you can't think in an efficient manner.
And I think
especially when it comes to America, it's very...
If you don't do it efficiently, you can't even go there. You won't get any money. You won't get any
funding and blah. And
unfortunately, the Europeans also suck at the ethical
implementation, application of ethical questions into technology because they want to just take a step back and think about it in a very European manner in 27 different languages. Yeah. So that's helpful.
But I don't think it's such a big problem right now.
Because I think, as I said before, the human, non-human
interaction
has way more
problems than ethical ones. It's more psychological ones. That's if I'm worried about anything, it's the psychological level
of how
kind of it makes you feel small.
Because you don't have anybody to talk to. I remember we did a work in 2001 maybe or 2002. It was called
that was called the injunction generator.
And it also was basically a little AI that gave you...
you just had a form where you had to input stuff, right? And then it spit out a
temporary or preliminary
injunction against somebody to do... basically, it was against websites.
It was fine. It was legally totally fine. And the way it's being handled online, if you send this
to a provider,
the chances are very high that a domain will get turned off, just to be sure.
Okay.
And I remember we did
that, and that kind of made sense. And then we did another one, and that was
influenced because I once got a
letter about a bank. And it said something that was wrong.
And so I called up the
bank and I said,
this makes no sense. This is just...
And she's like, oh, no.
You can disregard that.
Because I didn't send that. I said, yeah, but it's signed by you. She says, no, that's not my signature. That's a printed signature.
And that's just sent by the system. And the system just always sends it out, but that doesn't matter. Like, what the fuck is that? I'm just, I could read her. I could understand that she was fine. It was true what she was saying.
But at the same time, that's like a
parallel world started at that time where a system would just feed you with
stuff that you were supposed to disregard.
But at the same time, you knew that
legally you can't really disregard it.
So it forces you to live in
two different worlds, like the human world
and the algorithm system AI world. And that's not very doable for humans. And so you get into the state of,
kind of a cognitive
dissonance problem, and also like the emotional level with...
You notice like the person that you're actually talking to at the bank, she can do nothing in the end.
Because she's not really in charge.
So that also creates problems.
And
so reality kind of starts to dissipate.
And I think that's on the psychological level, I think that's a big problem.
No.
Yeah.
Right, totally.
Because there's no truth then anymore.
Yeah, but you have two different versions of the truth.
Right? Yes, because that's why a bank letter is really something that you want to rely
onto.
So. Yeah, but still, I see really big ethical problems when it comes to the programming of AI or feeding machine learning algorithms. For example, face recognition is an example when faces of color are not as well as good recognized by the system than faces of white people just because the AI haven't fed with these.
But isn't that good for black people that they don't get recognized?
Possibly, but if there are many, if you're mixed up with another person, it's not so good for you. So I guess it would.
But it's known though. But it's known by now. It's known.
It's now. Yeah, but that's
not in America though. I mean, you're right because it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, but
because they shoot and then think, but that's so different.
Yeah, but that's the point. They really have to think about how they feed their AI. Or for example, what company? I think it was Amazon. Yeah, they had like this AI for pre-selecting job applicants, and they just selected males because they were just trained with male CVs. And then they, accidentally just left out everything that was female. And that's crazy. And so an AI algorithm can only be as good as the people who feed them. And so there's big ethical implications.
Yeah, that's what we had a kind of a talk session last week at the university about artificial intelligence. And I said that the intrinsic problem that I see with AI, that it's in its core conservative. Because of the way that it's programmed
from experience from the past and extrapolating that in future by people
who have a narrow view
and enough money. It's kind of a boring, actually. It's actually a very boring thing, and
also, but most of the people's mindset.
Is this the right way
of programming? Is sure, why not? Like that most people think that it's totally okay to program
AIs in a way so they reflect the status quo, or the status quo even
5-10 years ago.
But supposed to be used in the future. With me, makes absolutely no sense.
Because especially if it's an AI,
I would want to program it for not the now, but a
better future.
Like a future everybody envisions always a future. Nobody goes like, well, and then I want in 5 years,
I want everything to be exactly the same, unless you're ultra-conservative. I think even a standard conservative wants to have like a little bit more
Fortschritt and, just be there.
But do you think this is
happening because people just don't get it?
Because they didn't really think about it.
Yeah,
they didn't see it. Just white males program an AI will be definitely totally different than a diverse group program same AI. So I think diverse groups should
be visible. Maybe.
Yeah, it should be more visible and program this.
Yeah,
I take this as a no. So so thank you, Tina. And
thank you so much, Liz, and Hans also.
Thank you to Tina and Dylan. Thank you, Patty.